with O'Connor. Hey, O'Connor, your house. Hollywood in your house. Hypocrisy's head in the clouds. Curating all kind of loud. Wrestling in front of the crowds. Paragon's holding it down. Anybody can get it. Come to us for your news and opinions. We got a voice. There is no choice. We're some boys in your house making wrestling noise. Moving fast, it's like cruiserweight action. Your house is a perfect distraction. Papa see your ears when you in traction. Get this work with some wrestling action. Swallow.
What's up, guys? What's cracking? The comment, and I'm in your house. We're here. We're ready to make a movie. I hope you guys are ready to make a movie. I hope you guys are with the shits, because hey, we're with the shits. And we're ready to talk a little wrestling. That's right, you already know the vibes. Anytime we slide on through, we're here to give you that work when it comes to this professional wrestling business. And you guys already know the vibes. That's exactly what we're going to do, is make sure that we give you that work. And that's why we've been doing what we've been doing. This past Sunday, we had our Sunday house party, and that was a great one. We had a great guest. P-Pod, independent wrestling commentator from the Midwest, was on, and he was really great. It was an awesome talk, an awesome chat, kind of an interview, but we also talked some SmackDown as well. Then on Monday, we had my man, The Voice, Josh Joseph, and Grunmeister, and they gave you the Raw preview show. And usually what comes after that, when we get to Wednesday, that is, of course, the Raw deal with Howse and O'Neil. And I'm Howse. Where's O'Neil? We're going to bring her in right now. That is divinely designed Annie O'Neil, the co-host of the Raw deal with Howse and O'Neil. How's it going?
What's up, Con? What's everyone? Let's entertain the masses. I'm ready. How's it going?
Doing good. Just staying busy. It's been a busy week for me. A lot of things moving. I'm always staying busy all the time. I know you're kind of the same, but I got to ask, how was your last week?
You know what? I'm running it from sunrise to sundown. That's just how we do it over here. I mean, every moment that I have, it's used intentionally. If I'm training, I'm reading, doing something family-wise, wrestling-wise, I'm just doing it because I love to do it, just for the love of the game. Oh,
most definitely. I mean, we got to make the most of the time that we have, you know. 100%. I mean, well, you don't really know how many more goes around that you got. You got to make sure that you make it count. And I feel like that's exactly what you do, is make everything count.
I have to, like, moments are precious. We have a finite amount of time, and I'm not going to waste it. That's for sure. Took too many for granted already. And no more of that stuff.
Yep, everything is meaningful. That's the way that I look at it. And that's what brings us together here right now, because we're about to do something meaningful, because it's the Raw deal with Howse and O'Neil, which means, of course, we have to talk Monday Night Raw, Annie.
Absolutely. I'm ready to run through Raw. Let's go.
Most definitely. So before we get into Raw, before we jump right into things, because there's a lot to talk about, I sent us both home with a little bit of homework last week.
You did.
And now it is that time to turn it on in. It's back to school and whatnot. So I guess we use that terminology. Time to turn the homework in, because last week we kind of sparked up a good conversation, Annie, where we were kind of talking about intergender wrestling and wanting to see more intergender wrestling in WWE. So with that being said, myself and you, we put together a list of five intergender matches that we would like to see in the WWE, and I'm excited. We didn't talk about our picks or anything like that. We're just jumping right into it, surprising each other. So here's how we're gonna do it. This is how we're gonna do it, Annie.
Yes, let's go.
I'm gonna start with one, then you give me one, and we'll just go down the line like that.
Let's go back and forth. I love it.
Yes, most definitely. Before I do that, I got to shout out my guys. Hypocrisy Jones, producer of the show, was in the chat. We just wanted to let you know we see you, bro. Time is our most valuable resource. Yes, sir. And then The Voice, Josh Joseph, saying the Team IYH is putting in that work. So just wanted to acknowledge you guys. We see you out there in the chat. But now we're about to go through 5 intergender matches, y'all, that we want to see in the WWE. So I'm going to start it off. And this one, I mean, it almost feels a little bit obvious, but also I guess, kind of not. A lot of people were saying that they would love to see, because what sparked this conversation is a match between Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio. So that's what started this whole thing, this whole conversation.
Yes.
But I pivoted a little bit. I pivoted just a little bit, because the first match on my list would actually be Rhea Ripley versus Damian Priest.
Ooh, Twin Terror versus Twin Terror. Yep. I love that. Just the I got chills as soon as you said that. Like that's straight fire. So why did you choose those two?
That's a good question. I chose those two because, and it's honestly, it's a lot of the reason why a lot of this list was chosen. But I gotta say that nobody does it better than siblings, best friends. Nobody has better matches than and I feel like those two know each other inside and out. I'm sure they've trained together throughout the course of their friendship at some point. They're both the two top faces on Monday Night Raw, it seems like right now. And I really feel like those two going at it, Rhea would give Damian a hell of a fight, and Damian would give Rhea a hell of a fight. I just think it would be a good match, and I like to see it between those two.
I agree. One factor that really went into my decision making is similarities in style, whether their body dynamic was matched. Like, someone who could stand up to Damian Priest as a woman. I feel like there's no better match than Rhea Ripley. That was a really good pick.
I like that one. We have hype in the chat saying that Rhea is still horrible. She's the bad guy in all this, and that the Twin Terrors are terrible people.
Heresy.
Crazy. I'll tell you, there is a growing thought within the IWC that maybe Rhea is in the wrong. I mean, abducting Dominic and then abusing him, and then Dominic saying, "Oh well, she lets me eat Tendies whenever I want. She lets me play video games whenever I want." We'll definitely get into that when we talk Raw, because that segment was wildly entertaining. But we'll throw it to you now, Annie. What's the first match on your list, the first intergender match?
My first pick is Bayley versus Otis.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes. Bayley versus Otis. What made you come up with that?
We saw that Bayley exhibited the strength she did when she went toe-to-toe with Queen Nia Jax. Okay?
Yeah.
I think Bayley's power against Otis's power would be it would be a really great match. I think they both would stack up very well together, and I think they would go move for move, and I think it would just be an excellent display of sportsmanship. I want to be entertained, and both of these people entertain me. So it worked out in my fantasy booking. So
yeah, no, I like that. It's crazy because when I was putting together this list, I tried to work Bayley in there, but I actually didn't, because I had a couple of other ideas. So I'm glad Bayley did get worked in there. That's a good match. I like what you said about the strength that she exhibited against Nia Jax. Imagine the visual. Imagine the pop in the crowd if Bayley lifted up Otis.
And that's exactly, I believe it's possible. She lifted Nia against gravitational resistance, and she was so freaking strong. I know she could do the same with Otis. And both would even make them skyrocket more as faces. So let's run it.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I like that. So I guess it's on me now. And I added this one. I think I mentioned it last week, but I didn't really get a chance to really dig deep into it. So I'm going to bring it up again. Randy Orton versus Charlotte Flair.
Great one. That, I feel like it would be two Olympians just going toe to toe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the smoothness in the ring from both Orton and Charlotte Flair, they're both naturals, both multi-generational superstars, and have taken the names that preceded them and have actually elevated them. I mean, can you imagine?
I agree.
I mean, Charlotte Flair, who came from the loins of Ric Flair, took the name and elevated it. That's not easy. Randy Orton taking both his father and his grandfather and taking that name and elevating it. That's not easy. And they're both naturals. They're both the pinnacle of their divisions. Every time they go out there, you already know what you're going to get is two of the absolute top finest athletes in the WWE. They both have an incredibly great pedigree, incredible athleticism. I mean, I would want to see it. I'd pay money to see that match, most definitely.
It's as close to perfect as perfect can get. I mean, you know that no matter who Charlotte is going to be in the ring with, she's going to pull greatness out of them. And I couldn't think of a better person to do that than Randy Orton, like, who's just so amazing. It's almost sickening. Like, it's almost nauseating in the best possible way. Okay, so
yeah.
My next one is very interesting.
Okay.
Io Sky versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Both have this unusual, intriguing way that they just draw you in, and just visually both are just so appealing. Like, both are, they have both larger than life movements, and just their personalities that speak without any of them like actually opening their mouths. Like, it's just the storytelling. It was just so riveting. Like, we've seen what they both can do in the ring. Like, your eyes wouldn't be taken off the match for 1 second. And I just want to see the personalities interact more than anything. And I just thought that would just be so visually stunning of a match.
No, I agree with that. That's a great one. I like that one a lot. You know, one thing that I agree with most definitely is that Io Sky and Shinsuke both have a presence about them. When they come out, you already know they're coming out and they're just their own vibe, walking to the beat of their own drum. Both, that's what they have in common as superstars. So they both walk to the beat of their own drum. So I think they'd be able to put on a good match, most definitely. I like that one a lot. So moving on to my number 3, maybe it should have been my last, but I'm going to say it now. So this one I picked because it is similar reasons why I picked Orton and Flair, but I think about the pinnacle of the sport right now. I think about just the top upper echelon of both their divisions right now, not in yesteryear, but of right now.
Yeah.
And I wrestled with this one. Haha, that's funny. I wrestled with this one.
Give you puns, everyone.
But I finally came to terms with this one, and that's Roman Reigns versus Bianca Belair.
Ooh, that's a great one. Yes, like another banger of a match.
They'd be amazing, both them together.
Like, Bianca Belair's strength and her showmanship against Roman Reigns, greatness written all over it.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I just feel like those two, they both historic reigns in their own right, both main eventers, WrestleMania main eventers in their own right, have seriously just been the leading point of a generation, and they both taken their spots and helped elevate WWE to the point where we see it now. So most definitely, Hype, I saw you saying Cena and Belair. I thought about that one.
That's a good
but once
one.
again, but that's a great one. But once again, I'm not thinking yesteryear. I'm thinking about the top stars are right now. And that's most definitely Roman Reigns and Bianca Belair. So, all right, Annie, what do you got?
Oh, you know, one thing I want to piggyback off that, like how important representation matters in wrestling. And I absolutely love Bianca Belair for that. And just how, if she went over Roman in that fantasy match, just how much she would skyrocket even more superstardom. And that's just something that really excites me. And I just want more eyes on Bianca Belair as much as possible. Like, she's one of next to Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair is one of my favorites.
She's awesome.
Okay, my next match. Okay, I got Zoe Stark versus Finn Balor.
Ooh, okay, all right. I like that one a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So one thing that I really wanted to also highlight in my fantasy booking is I wanted matches that would demonstrate so many different stylistics of what makes wrestling enjoyable to me. And this one alone, based off technique, like you put Zoe Stark against Finn Balor, like it's going to be back and forth dynamic, like a really good ping pong match that your eyes are just constantly going back and forth and you're just wanting more from both of them based on style alone. I'll never forget Zoe Stark's performance and Money in the Bank this year. And she's just so phenomenal to watch that I couldn't take my eyes off that in-ring action. And Finn Balor, it's just, he defies the laws of physics, and I'm not a huge fan of him right now. Mr. Porpoise had himself, but that was low. That was low, but true. It was true. That can't be argued.
That's good.
But he would really use his head in that match with Zoe Stark. Okay. Anyway, go ahead. Move on from my really bad jokes.
You're good. So, wow, hype. Wow, ridiculous. If you know, you know. He's ridiculous. But so my next pick here, I would really want to see this one just because it almost goes back to the whole Ripley Priest thing, but this is a little bit different because I would like to see these two, who once again have been the pinnacle of their division. I mean, next to the wrestlers who I just said previously, they've always been like the 1B kind of to their 1A, but they've carried it well and done really well with it. So for me, that would be Seth Rollins going up against Becky Lynch.
Oh, that's such a good one.
Yeah, I'd like to see those two go at it.
Ooh, yes. Like, just who would out fashion the other? That's I know question.
Just the promos and the fashion alone would sell me.
Yes, like hold on one second for the in-ring action, but just stylistically and promo alone, like yes. Do you think they would have like a marital argument in the ring? Would it be?
It'd have to be. I mean, if you want it to be organic.
Right. Maybe he didn't take out the trash for the third time, or
something. Yeah, he forgot to do something, and I mean, whoever loses the match has to sleep on the couch, maybe something like that. I mean, just that type of thing right there. I mean, even if you want to do the match just for that, that's fine. But as far as the goofiness, the over the top outfits, the promos, I'm here for all of it. That's the match I know would be good because they're both great in ring, but just everything leading up to it would just be money to me.
Oh, and you're not going to have a better match than that, the one with a significant other. Like,
yeah,
it's just the push-pull dynamic is going to be fun. Like, I remember the one time that Kevin and I had a catch wrestling match, and that was fun. That was really, really fun because first of all, he's not going to put up with any of my shit, and I'm seemingly very, very meek and maybe mild, but that's not the case, especially against rolling with my significant other. So yes, just based on that dynamic alone, I absolutely love it. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. I really think that would be great. They put on a good match. All right. What do you got next?
Okay. So this is my final match, and I really pulled from different parts of the WWE universe for this one. So it's an intergender tag team match.
Okay.
So it's Luna Vachon and Rhea Ripley versus Kane and Undertaker.
Oh, that's fire. That's so good.
Yes. like I feel like these 4 individuals would be so well evenly matched.
Yeah.
And they have the stylistically they're very similar, but they're very, very different.
Yeah.
And their movesets are different, but they're so cohesive. And I would love to see Ripley against Undertaker. I just think that would they would go pound for pound. And I think I would love to see Ripley even try and give Undertaker a riptide. Or maybe she could get an amazing choke. I don't know. Visually, the way it played out in my brain space, I just think it had to be booked. So
that's what it's all about. That's if you think there is no wrong answers here. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is all just for fun and all for just the love of creativity. So I think that would be great. I mean, I would love to see, that was a deep pull with Luna Vachon. I mean, gosh, that's a good one. I would love to see it. Rhea in the ring with either one of the Brothers of Destruction. I think she'd pull out a good match out of them. I think it will be great. Dang, now, honestly, I just kind of want to see Rhea Ripley versus The Undertaker. Like, that's just great. That'd be amazing. But no, that's a great one, most definitely.
And I really had to think I really wanted to give Ripley someone who could really match her intensity, her character work, her emotions, and I thought Luna Vachon was a clear front runner. So
yeah, no, I like that. Most definitely. I mean, Luna Vachon, she at the time that she was there, she revolutionized the business. She was she was different, she was unique, and she's left an impression on many, many, many women and many, many, many wrestlers after her. So and I like that.
Ripley is doing that this generation. So yeah, you couldn't have said it better than myself.
100% agree with that. Yeah, I love everything that Rhea Ripley is doing. Super talented and paving her own path, and it's great to see. All right, so my final one right here, this one would probably get 5 stars if it was in the Tokyo Dome, and possibly even more. That's who you mentioned her earlier, Io Sky versus AJ Styles.
Oh, all right. Book it. Main event right now. Right now.
Yeah, that's the one right there. Yeah. Like, as far as like all the matches that I have here, like it would probably compete with Orton and Charlotte for possibly match of the night on the card. I truly believe that. I truly believe that AJ Styles and Io Sky would be able to steal the show. They both can take it to the mat. They both can high fly. I mean, I just feel like those two together would be able to put out a great match that I really think people will be like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. So yeah, that one took me. I wrestled with. I knew I wanted AJ Styles in there, but I was like, man, who do I think would match AJ Styles? Like with being, and I fooled around with Zoe Stark for a second. Zoe Stark came to my mind. She really. I
was about to ask if you had any honorable mentions for that match.
For Zoe Stark, she came to my mind most definitely. Like she came, but then I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna put AJ Styles in the ring with somebody, I wanted to have it with somebody that has a little bit more like prestige next to her name, with Io being a former world champion,
right?
And NXT world champion. And plus, I just think Io can go. I mean, I don't think Io Sky puts out bad matches. Sometimes I think we get a little bit lost in the sauce because Io is that vibe, because Io walks to the beat of her own drum. And then, of course, she's now assumed leadership of Damage Control. But let's not forget that Io Sky can put out an incredible match and has been doing that for a long time.
And I think that fantasy booking would even elevate her career even more.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that's a good match, but I think this was fun. I enjoyed doing that. We're definitely going to do something like that again.
Yeah, heck yeah. It really got us thinking. It was really fun.
That's what I liked about it, is get you thinking, gets that noodle moving. So that's exactly what we're trying to do, is get people to think and be informative and entertaining. But before we talk Monday Night Raw, because we're about to get to Monday Night Raw and kind of dig deep into it, we're going to take a break. We're going to pay a few bills. And when we come back, we're going to do just that. That's myself and Annie O'Neill talking Monday Night Raw.
Hey guys, it's your boy, the director, Howse of In Your House, and I'm here to let you know about a small business that produces beard products and also supports small stage, independent, professional wrestling stars. It's called Ring Master Beard Company. Try one of their several scents, beard oils, balms, or mustache wax, and keep your beard looking and feeling sweet. Purchase your favorite wrestlers or personalities' personalized scent, and they receive a portion of each sale. And with that being said, don't forget to pick up a bottle of the Director in Alakan House Special. Your boy, a blend of eucalyptus, mint, and tea tree oil. Have your beard feeling fresh. Have your beard feeling smooth, just like your boy, the Director. Follow Ringmaster Beard Company on Twitter and Instagram at Ringmaster Beard, or on their Facebook page, and that is Ringmaster Beard Company. Check it out. Get your beard cream. Hit your beard with that. Because sometimes being a master in the ring means mastering your beard.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to In Your House. And this is specifically the Raw Deal with Howse and O'Neill. And that means I have my co-host Annie O'Neill with me. We're about to talk a little Monday Night Raw. And we touched on it a little bit, but we have to talk about that opening to the show with Rhea Ripley and everything that happened with Dominic Mysterio and with Liv Morgan. And then eventually we saw Rhea's terror twin, Damian Priest, show up, and it was a meme in itself. Annie, what did you think about this whole segment and everything that came from it?
You know, I'm a big believer in the energy that you emit, it finds you. So Liv Morgan on her revenge tour. You do the things have the consequences. So if you think you can take mommy's man, her belt, her family, without consequence, you are wrong. And especially now that the wreckage is seeming to stabilize, well, mommy's had a lot of time to think. And sometimes when humans are left to their own devices, that's a really, really bad thing.
Yeah.
So, Liv and Dom better keep their heads on a swivel. Otherwise, it's going to end up on mommy's plate, and mommy's going to eat.
Yeah, most definitely. I just really feel like that, everything that's going on, and Hype says that Liv is still looking hella right, and in that you know, man, you might have some points there as far as looking right. But listen, there was something that Cole said on commentary that struck me, and he said that Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan right now are like the new Bonnie and Clyde. And I was like, Yeah. That got me thinking, because let's face it, whenever that time comes and Rhea Ripley gets her hands on both of them, I mean, that's it for them, right? I mean, they're going to be torn to shreds. And how did Bonnie and Clyde go out? Well,
not well.
It didn't go out good, right?
Not well. So I mean, as quickly as their little tryst started, it will end just as quickly. I'm just saying, you start things with pedal to the floor. And you know what? Now that that's been brought to my attention, I can see it. I can see that they might be slanders of destruction. That's a pretty good point. But I mean, but the same dynamic that occurred between Rhea and Dom, it's the same thing between Liv and Dom now, but it at a different resonance. You know, like, okay, Rhea appealed to whatever Dom is afraid of. Appeals to his fear.
Yeah.
People are manipulated by fear all the time. But people are also manipulated by love, too.
Yep.
So, either way around it, it only ends one way for Dom and Liv. And he's just being manipulated by Liv Morgan as well.
I was going to say it's one manipulation tactic to another, because it's like you said, I believe it was last week, you said that Liv Morgan, she love bombs. You know, she'll give you what you want. She'll tell you the things that you want to hear, whisper those sweet nothings and everything. And you'll feel like this sense of security. But I mean, if you're paying attention to what Liv Morgan is doing, that's when she gets you, is when you feel most comfortable. So Dom, I think Dom himself is on a collision course. I also think Liv Morgan is on a collision course, because once Rhea gets a hold of her, it's going to be wraps. I mean, that's exactly what it's going to be. But I really think Dominic Mysterio is on a collision course where it's like, and I said it before, at some point he's going to be crawling on back to his daddy, like, oh, I made a couple of bad decisions.
He went from mommy to mommy.
Yep.
And
it's just it's different, but it's the same.
Like, this feels familiar, Con. This feels a little familiar.
Yeah, yep. He's feeling validated and whatnot, and that's all good for him, but it's gonna come and it's gonna bite him eventually. Also, I want to talk about after we saw the meme of Damian Priest standing behind Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan there in the crowd. And let me just say, this crowd was very reactive. They were back and forth. I mean, and you had people in the crowd reacting to Dominic Mysterio, and he was saying things like, oh, Liv lets me eat tendies whenever I want to. She lets me play video games whenever I want to. And I was kind of like, yeah, hell yeah. I like tendies whenever I want, video games whenever I want. Like, I was like, yeah.
It's like, it just reminds me of like a Pink Panther skit where Dominic has everything he wants, and then like he's paying attention to this hand, but this hand doesn't know what the other one's doing, and Liv is just robbing him blind. I'm like,
yeah, basically, yeah.
Like, this fraud is just doing the same thing that Rhea Ripley did to you, and no wonder, defenseless, completely defenseless.
Oh, it's gonna be something to watch when it all falls apart for him. But I gotta say, how in the hell did Rhea Ripley get up those steps in that arena so fast? I do not understand.
In boots, no less. Like,
right.
That's a sign of a true freaking athlete. Like, she, you know what? Like her homeland, where everything tries to kill you. you can definitely see where she's coming from. All right.
Yeah. She know how to move.
Like a paralysis demon, okay?
Yeah, she was on I was like, how did she get up there so fast? Well, one clip, I see her in the ring, then boom, 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 things happen with Dom and Damian, and then boom, we see Liv on Damian's back so Dom can get away, and then boom, out of nowhere, there's Rhea Ripley in like 2.5 seconds. I'm like, it took her no time at all. It's like she teleported up those damn stairs.
And it was so gratifying to see Liv Morgan so scared.
Yeah. Imagine how it's going to feel when she gets caught finally.
I can't wait. And, I don't know if I just started paying attention, but her voice, her shrill voice, like, it makes me I don't like it. I don't like it.
I noticed that too. And
especially during that promo.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, so I think with that, as annoying and shrill as it is, she's finding herself more as a heel, Like she's like, okay, now this, I realize that this tone of voice can annoy people, so now I'm going to use this tone of voice. It's just her continuing to dig in her bag and find herself more as a heel.
You know what? I finally figured out her gimmick, Con. I really did.
What's that?
It's kind of controversial, but it made me laugh, so I'm gonna share. E-Girl meets Cher from Clueless.
Yes. Wow. Now I can't unsee it now. That's yes. Yeah, most definitely. I like what Liv Morgan is doing. Yeah. I think every single time she go out there, she's finding herself a little bit more. I agree. And it's like not everybody can just come to age the way somebody like Rhea Ripley did. Like we expect greatness from Rhea Ripley. Like, and I even said this. I think I might have said it in the chat. I'm not sure, but I really feel like now that Rhea Ripley, it's come full circle. Now she's a top baby face. I feel like Rhea Ripley does Becky Lynch better than Becky Lynch.
Ooh.
I do. Like she's more of a believable badass.
That's, you know what? I'm gonna have to agree with you there because Becky has the moves, she has the attitude, but I really agree. I really feel like Rhea Ripley is just constantly pushing the bar. And on a side note, I really want to bring to light how much Liv Morgan is finding her footing, and that's very satisfying because she's had different characters that she's portrayed in the past, but this one it's really groundbreaking, and I love that. Like you said, she is finding herself more and more, and just the back and forth between Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan right now, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's even after SummerSlam, it's still one of the best things on the show. And it's like we said, and we talked about before SummerSlam when we were doing our predictions and saying Liv Morgan should win at SummerSlam because it's going to continue to grow Rhea Ripley as a top star. And what's happening? Exactly that. That's exactly what's happening is Rhea Ripley feels bigger. Damian Priest feels bigger. They both feel like they are top faces in the company, and that's exactly what I thought would happen if that were to come to fruition. So, we got the voice. He's still calling Liv a sewer rat. It's he loves him some Rhea, man. That man, you will not ever get him to hate Rhea. You will not get him to hate Rhea.
Do you think her real heel or heel? I can't. Wow, I just inverted my speech. But do you think heel Rhea and face Rhea? Do you think they are just as good as each other? Do you enjoy Rhea's face work so far in proportion to her heel work? Do you think she can successfully do both?
I think she can. I mean, I think it's too early to tell for her just being like a baby face, but she had that crowd in the palm of her hand. Like the crowd wants to organically like Rhea Ripley, and why not? Like she's a badass. She's cool. She dresses cool. She looks like a superhero character or action figure or something. Like she's very like, you see her and like, why would you not want to be like Rhea Ripley? Like she's just like her own vibe. And once again, like I said about Io Sky and Shinsuke Nakamura, she walks to the beat of her own drum and she's comfortable with it. She's absolutely comfortable with who she is. So like, I think she can carry perfectly. I just think she's most definitely like one of the top stars in the company, period. Like, man or woman, it doesn't matter. She's just one of the top stars in the company, period. And like, she's going to touch that women's championship again, but not without a hell of a story that's going to get us there.
And can we talk about Carlito's appearance? What happened?
I thought he was in a boot or something, but he had two different color boots on.
Was he purposely mismatched? Because it looked like he got to the venue realized he lost his bag and he was just borrowing things from people.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. It was almost like a Frankenstein face.
It was like help a brother out look.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I was like, because I'm glad I wasn't the only one noticing that, because I was like,
nope.
What? What's he wearing? Like,
were the knee pads different colors too?
I think so. So like, okay, so I know the kids these days, they like to wear 2 different color shoes.
Sure.
Like I see kids all the time wearing like 2 different color Crocs or 2 different color like sneakers or something. So maybe he's trying to get with that trend, but I'm like, bro,
that hurts my sensory issues, Con.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, what are you doing? You ain't one of the young kids. You an old head. Act like an old head.
You know what? I'm here for it though. I like the Carlito's humor. It almost humanizes something that's so serious, and I love it.
Yeah, I love his one-liners. He's had some really good one-liners in the last few months. I think it's just been killing me. Like I think it was Damian Priest, and he was talking to Dominic Mysterio after Liv Morgan had been stretching him, like doing those stretches on him, and he's like, "Oh, I kind of like this." And Damian Priest was like, "Why won't you just drop her? It's not that hard." And then you have Carlito coming in saying, "Yeah, it looks hard to me."
Anyone with eyes knows that.
Carlito, his one-liners killing me. I cracked up. I mean, I audibly laughed at that. So like, Carlito's still great. And
I love that he's a solidified member of the group now.
He's in there now.
Default.
Yep.
Not because he's actually wanted.
Right. Yeah. He's just, and before, I actually like the fact that he was there because he was trying to hide out from the LWO. So he was just like, hey, what do you guys need me to do so I could be? It was almost like somebody trying to work their way into a gang or like a mafia or something.
Yes.
Like, I'll do a few side jobs or something if you want me to, just so I can stick around for a little bit, you know? Like, it was giving that.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. So I like that. But he ended up losing this match against Damian Priest. Damian Priest, once again, Damian is just looking like exactly what I said it was going to happen. Coming out of SummerSlam, he looks like a top guy. I mean, he just does. And like every time he goes out there, the crowd reacts to him. They're in the palm of his hand. Damian Priest it's one of those rare occasions where he lost the title but became a bigger star. And now seeing Damian Priest, I'm like, this dude can be in any main event on any show. And
Rhea and Damian standing like together, looking so strong, taking out what was Judgment Day 3.0. Like, they really are twin terrors. I love it.
It's crazy because it's organic. They're organically friends. They've always called each other the Terror Twins. And now we get a chance to see that relationship come to life on television. And I just think that's great, especially once again, with it being so organic. So that was a great, I think it was a great segment for sure.
Definitely smart to start Raw.
Yeah, and it was needed. I mean, you needed something big like that, and they did just that. So I think that was great. And once again, this Monday Night Raw, we're just keeping things going, keeping things trending in that way. As far as like they're putting out good shows, and they're to me, they're all hitting. To me, they're all. Just everything just feels like it's falling in line with everything else, and that's exactly how it needs to be when it comes to that. So I just want to bring this up real quick as we're moving on. I want to get your thoughts on it because it's not something that's like huge on this show, but it's something developing. What do you think's going on with this whole situation with Odyssey Jones and Xavier Woods? Xavier Woods has been really telling a story with his facial expressions. Once again, it's not anything that's like heavily featured right now, but I wanted to get your quick thoughts on where you think this is going.
You know what? I think it is the beginning of the end of New Day, as much as I really hate to see that. I think X has some really I think it's time for him to have a singles run now.
Yeah.
You know, he's paid his dues in the New Day. He's been one of the pillars of that for a really long time. Like, they've done it all. And you know what? I think Kofi Kingston, I love his energy supplemented by Odyssey Jones. I think both the pair of them have really special chemistry.
Yeah.
And I want to see what that looks like outside of New Day. And I don't think they're going to be called New Day anymore.
I think it'll be something different for sure. So
Yeah.
let me ask you, do you see a reality where we could see Xavier Woods turn heel and maybe Odyssey Jones will be his heavy?
Ooh.
Just
Now that you bring
totally
it,
take Kofi out of the equation. They all together.
oh, you know what? I initially pictured Kofi and Odyssey together, but I think I like your interpretation more. I really think so. I honestly, I think, yeah, I think the heel turn for Xavier is coming. I think he would, I think that's a side of his personality that also needs to be showcased. I want to see that character development. I think he'd be really good at it. You know, I want to see a more serious tone. Like, what is he working with on the inside of his head?
Yeah.
But I think Kofi needs to have a singles run too. So I think it could go either way for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's most definitely a thing where I really feel like that. I mean, me myself, I
Mm-hmm.
want to see X have that singles run. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying he necessarily has to be a world champion like
Mm-hmm.
Big E or Kofi was, but
Mm-hmm.
something, an Intercontinental Championship run,
Yeah.
something like that. Because one big thing about X is that he's always been like he's been pushing really hard for Big E and pushing really hard for Kofi Kingston. He was
Mm-hmm.
both pivotal parts, and he was there emotionally and everything for them
Right.
when they won their World Heavyweight Championship. And I feel like that he really like pushed for that to happen for them, and like that's great. Nothing against that. That's awesome. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's X's turn now. I
Yeah,
think it's
he deserves
Xavier's
that turn
turn
of
to
the
have a
sun.
turn.
Yeah.
I think he deserves something like that for all he's
Yeah.
done
Right.
and all that he's sacrificed to be able to make sure that his brothers are in a great spot. So I'd like to see it for him, even if it's just an IC title run.
You know what? You put that energy out there and it finds you. It may not be your moment in the present, but the day will always come. And I think that's a really interesting run, and I think it's well deserved for X.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I said, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that because on the side, I wanted to have a quick little discussion about the stable that they've been feuding with, and that's the Final Testament. And I mean, I kind of talked crazy about them last week, and in a constructive way. I just, once again, it wasn't hitting for me, and I think I said this to the voice Josh Joseph. I said if the Final Testament was wrestling in my backyard, I wouldn't even open up the shades. I mean, I just wouldn't. They're not hitting, and then somehow that found Bully Ray, because Bully Ray commented on it on Busted Open, and he says, basically paraphrasing, he doesn't think that it's catching on. And he said the entire gimmick feels a bit 80s right now. Big guys, warriors of the wasteland. It's all dark and menacing, but it's not resonating with anybody, and they haven't destroyed anybody enough for people to care. So I wanted to bring that to you and get kind of your thoughts on, do you think the Final Testament is working? And if not, what do you think the disconnect is?
You know, generational patterns seem to cycle in and out every 25 years. I think that's just the how life works. But I do agree that this feels like a throwback to the 80s, and I think it's a bit dated. Because on paper, like, it should be solid. It should be a solid gimmick. Like, these characters bring these energies to life, but it's just missing the mark. And I'm not sure why, because I really enjoy Karrion Kross. I think he's an excellent in-ring performer. You have Scarlett, you have is it Paul Ellering, right?
Yeah, Paul Ellering, yeah.
And Akam and Razar, like, on the whole, they should be a really solid group. But you know what? I think maybe the gimmick it's not like specific enough. Maybe what is the intention? Like, it feels like they're trying to reach for so many things at once. Like, what is it you want to do? Like, because I'm unsure.
Yeah, they have no purpose, most definitely,
Right.
and like that was one big thing. Like when Braun Breaker came in to Monday Night Raw, he came in with the purpose. What was the
Mhm.
purpose? I'm pissed because they didn't put me in the King of the Ring tournament, so
Yeah.
I'm going to destroy everybody. Somebody who we're going to talk about in a little bit,
Mhm.
Bronson Reed. Now he's giving himself a purpose, and I just think that the Final Testament have absolutely no direction, no purpose. You have two managers, neither one of them talk. What is
Mhm.
going on here? Paul Ellering is a legendary manager who he managed the Road Warriors, one of the most historic teams
Mhm.
in wrestling history. But I think one of our members of the house call, he said it's Adam. He said, I don't think anybody under 30 even knows who Paul Ellering is. And I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a diss. That's a legitimate thought. I mean, I don't think I think there's a large group of wrestling fans who have
Right.
no clue who he is. He doesn't talk. Scarlett doesn't talk. Akam and Razar, as much as they are big, imposing men,
Yes.
they have
Yes.
absolutely no presence whatsoever. I
Like,
mean, it's literally just carrying cross and like four people for what? And
right.
it just doesn't like it just doesn't resonate with anybody. They're not doing anything. They're not going after anybody of importance. His whole thing is he's trying to get Xavier Woods to understand that he can stand on his own too. But I'm like, why? For what? What do you go for the tag titles? There's the Intercontinental Champion. Go for do what Bronson Reed did. Go attack somebody that's worth a damn. Not saying Xavier's not worth a damn, but what's he doing right now besides
Mhm.
intertwining with things that's going on in the New Day? Nothing else. So
Mhm.
I really think
Exactly.
my thought is it's time to pull the plug on the Final Testament. I think that you can pull the plug on him, send Paul Ellering home. I mean, the reason that he did not come up with the Authors of Pain when they got called up to the main roster is because he didn't want to do a whole lot of traveling. Now he's back and he's doing more traveling, but it's like he has no purpose. So maybe break him up. If he wants to go ahead and still be with the Authors of Pain, do that. But maybe send Karrion Kross and Scarlett back to NXT and maybe try to refine something that was there with Karrion Kross being a former NXT champion and all. But I just think it's time to pull the plug on it. I don't think it's working. I don't think we're going anywhere with it. We're just
Mhm.
wasting everybody's time right now. Let's pull the plug on it and try
Right.
something else with these guys.
And that's one thing I think is a gross sin, like just the waste of talent, because there is talent presented before me, but it's not being used correctly. What's the point
Right.
of having this imposing group if they're not doing anything?
Right. That's my thought is, they in Hype says he just really thinks that just have Cross be a normal dude. Shave that man's head. He needs to shave his head.
I'm saying. I'm saying. Right.
Yes.
And that was one thing that I was thinking, like, why have the managers be the manager role if they're not talking?
It's just baffling.
Scarlett is a great wrestler.
Yeah.
Why isn't she doing anything?
Yeah,
of
like she's
substance?
literally just there not doing anything, and like you're not utilized. At least back when it was just her and Cross,
Mhm.
she had the seductive moves, and then she would
Mhm.
come and she would leave the hourglass to there, and I was like,
Mhm.
oh shoot, she's leaving because the hourglass was a signal that you're next. You know what I'm saying? But now it's just like it's not hitting at all.
And see, like the Final Testament, it gives me like this apocalyptic vibe, like the barren wasteland vibe, like we
Yeah.
rule the wasteland, but and like some like Seventh Adventist day like cult thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It has traction, but
Not going nowhere.
Cross is not the cult leader. He's not.
Yeah.
And I feel like that energy is already being exuded by the Wyatt Six right now. So
We're getting it already. I mean, that's it right there. We're all what Final Testament is attempting to bring is a role that's already filled. So it's like
Right.
you're just putting a hat on a hat by even having
Right.
them there.
Like-
It's not working.
Final Testament almost sounds synonymous with like Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, the viewer only has so much attention that they can pay. So if you're just tuning in and you don't know who Final Testament and Judgment Day both are, like, my attention is going to navigate toward the Judgment Day.
For sure. I mean, they're the more story team.
Right.
They're the more story team. And like, honestly, just being honest here, I felt this. I never said it on the pod, but I kind of felt like that it was kind of the case. And now I can confidently say that it was. I honestly feel like the Final Testament was dead on arrival when they came to Monday Night Raw. I really do. I really do. I did not want that to be the case because I never root for any talent to fail like that. Right. But you know, it just felt like once they came there with the talent across the board that Monday Night Raw has, I just felt like they were DOA, and that was kind of the case. So, just another one of those things. You hate to see it. I mean, but it is what it is, and we got to move on ourselves here. So, I want to bring up another thing here. What do you think about? What do you think about the new faction name for Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, and what is her name? I'm sorry, I'm losing. I just lost her name for a second there. Brain fart. Third member between Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. Oh, Sonya Deville. Thank you, Sonya Deville. So, what do you think about the new? What do you think about the new name for them that they have, which is now the Pure Fusion Collective? What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I'm gonna preface my internal feeling by asking another question to you.
Okay.
Have you ever forgotten the takeout at your favorite restaurant, and then you remember that you forgot?
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Not good.
Disappointing?
Yeah.
Because that's how I feel about this stupid name. Stupid. It's like you pulled cool sounding adjectives and you tried to smush them all together.
Yep. What does it mean? What does that even mean? I don't understand what they were going for with that.
Maybe they wanted something that could just showcase everyone's collective, like, or individual talent.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'll say this. Pat McAfee tried to save it a little bit on commentary by calling them the PFC. Like, maybe if you just call them the PFC, maybe it'll catch on a little bit. But Pure Fusion Collective, it's doing too much. It really is.
Even maybe like the Fusion Collective or Pure Fusion. Like,
yeah, even there it is. Just Pure Fusion.
Like, that sounds way cooler than it's doing too much.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the Final Testament doing too much.
Yep. Doing way too much. I love the members of the faction. I love Sonya Deville. Zoe Stark is literally one of my, like, wrestling wise, Zoe Stark's one of my favorites. Shayna Baszler, love Shayna Baszler. But the name is just like, oh, you're killing them before they even get out of the gate with such a bad name.
Like, so, like, people who work so well and yet they're so different. Like, their energy is just cohesive.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Behind the garage and just, you know, Sister Scissors was wide open.
Yep.
Lost it.
That's hype for you.
Lost it.
Jeez.
It was there and you missed it.
But like you said, like, these three go, to me, as soon as I saw them together, I was like, this fits perfectly.
Yes, it does.
This fits. But like, then the name, I'm like, I want them to succeed. I want them to be what Damage Control was on SmackDown for a long time in the women's division, but you stick that awful name on them, and I'm like, come on, like,
Damage Control? That's a sweet ass name.
That's cool.
That's just, I love it by heart.
Right.
Like, Damage Control, I better watch out. I better be on notice. But, like, Pure Fusion Collective, I want to steal their lunch money.
Yeah, like come on. It feels like they got all their like little pieces together. They're trying to put together like the Megazord or something, like the Pure Fusion Collective. Let's
Yes,
go.
yes, yes. Like it's a catchy phrase in the larger than life anime. Yes.
Exactly. I'm like
Fusion Collective.
Pure Fusion
Yes.
Collective, go! Like that's bad. It's so bad.
Like that's the best we could have thought.
I hope they didn't come up with that. I hope that wasn't them. I hope I got stuck with it by somebody in creative that does not know what they're doing, like something like that.
It's the writer was over ecstatic for their first day, and they just wanted all of their counterparts to like them, and that's it. That's what you thought of.
Yeah, it's Prime doing too much. PFC sounds like the one dish on a restaurant menu for people without taste.
Sure.
Jeez.
Sure.
Jeez. And then Voice says Pure Fusion Collective sounds like what happens when you take way too many psychedelics.
Yeah, you ripped the fabric of the eighth dimension.
Yeah.
I get it.
I wanted to get your thoughts on that. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I wanted to get your thoughts on that because there's still a lot of really great things on Monday Night Raw.
It was an excellent match too.
It was a great match. Once again, I will never. The name's bad, but those women. I mean, them together, and then I love the fact that they came out together in the yellow gears. I love to see a tag team like cohesive and matching. That's just always aesthetically pleasing to me. And with being such a big fan of tag team wrestling, that's just always great to see to me. So but yes, the match itself was
one of my favorite things going on in Raw right now.
Yeah, most definitely. I just want the best for them. I truly do.
I have to make fun of the things that we have to make fun of.
For sure.
We're keeping it real. That's our job. Yep. What's the name of our show? What's the name of our show?
It's the Raw deal. So we keep it raw. We have to be honest. Most definitely. And like somebody who likes to keep it honest is Gunther, because man, every single time he's going out there, listen, I know there's people out there that say Gunther, oh, he's boring, he's this and that. If you listen to what this man is saying, he will cut deep. He does not care about cutting deep. So like, I get it. People's like, oh, he's old school. He's boring. He's this and that. Like, if you listen to the words he's saying, he will sit up there and cut deep. But speaking of cutters, he caught one, and that was a RKO at the end of the segment after he was saying that Randy Orton comes from a family of screw-ups. His father's a screw-up. His grandfather's a screw-up, and he's a screw-up. Randy Orton owned up to his past. Randy Orton, who, of course, has had a checkered past in his earlier years in the WWE, but, of course, worked through that to become one of the greatest competitors that WWE ever saw. And once again, I think we said it that it's like Randy Orton and Gunther going up against each other is like best overall wrestler going up against other best overall wrestler. It's going to be a treat to watch when they go up against each other at Bash in Berlin. We had a little bit of the Drew McIntyre effect, which had Gunther take his eye off the prize, which led to an RKO from Randy Orton. What do you think about this whole segment from Gunther cutting deep, Orton owning up to his past, and you know, saying everything that's happened to me is what made me who I am today, and then the small little element of Drew McIntyre that came in that segment?
Okay. One thing I really appreciate about Gunther is his ability to bring someone back down to life. Like he did it. He's done it time and time again. He zooms into the truth of someone and uses it to his advantage. Like,
yep.
I love his ability to cut a man in half with his words without even touching them. I think that's a mark of a true fighter. I really do.
Yeah.
But then Randy Orton allows none of it to rattle his cage.
Yep.
You know, like, and someone can't use the truth about you against you if you let them. Like, especially if you own it. Yeah,
Yep.
So I made mistakes. So, like, it didn't rattle his constitution, and I really thought that was amazing.
I appreciated that.
And one thing I really loved is how they used how Randy Orton's shoulder was up.
Yes, at the King of the Ring.
King of the Ring, and they they wrote it into the storyline. And I thought that was just genius. Like,
Yeah.
just how good and granular that the storylines are right now. I love it. I was a little confused the interaction when Drew intervened. Like, it was a little bit disjointed to me. Like, what was your take on that? What was I don't understand the purpose.
You know, I was a little bit confused by it at first, but I think that Drew is still stating his claim to that World Heavyweight Championship.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
I think amongst all the chaos between himself and CM Punk, we've all I don't want to say we've forgotten. That's not the right word to say, but I think that it's still something to keep in perspective. That at the end of the day, Drew McIntyre's goal is to be World Heavyweight Champion. Yeah. So I think that he was going to come and state his claim to that. But then, of course, you had CM Punk, who had lied and said that, hey, I was having some travel issues. That ended up not being the truth. His mindset was, if he would have said that he was there, then Drew McIntyre would not have shown up. And that's exactly what led to the confrontation there. So that's where it came from. I still think he wants to be champion. I still think that he will be champion sometime in the Netflix era, him being Drew McIntyre, and he'll have a lengthy run, I believe. But right now, I still think that he's got a few skeletons in his closet he's got to deal with CM Punk.
You know what? CM Punk feels like that karma that just follows you until you own up to your indiscretions as a human being. Yeah. Like, you can't outrun your shadow. And like, once you cross that line with CM Punk, like, his eyes just go black and he's just relentless. So, yeah. And also, I think that was, now that you bring it up, and I kind of like thought it through, like, it was a really good way to still keep in mind that Drew is still in the picture of that title shot. Like, yeah. And because there's so many storylines unfolding right now, like, it was a quick way for that Drew McIntyre and CM Punk storyline to be finessed into something else. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Mm-hmm. I think we're definitely seeing more Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, most definitely. Mm-hmm. And we'll break that down more as it continues to happen. But something that we have to break down, just because of time constraints, we gotta make sure that we're staying within those. Mm-hmm. Okay. I want to talk about Bronson Reed. I want to have a conversation about Bronson Reed because it has to be had. We saw the attack that he had on Seth Rollins. We did not see Seth Rollins on the show, and the assault continued. He had a match against Miz. Miz still great in the ring. He had a decent match with Bronson Reed. That's not the story. The story is National Treasure R-Truth takes like 4 or 5 tsunamis, and like at this point, like, I don't know, like, I know how I feel about Bronson Reed. To me, at this point, Bronson Reed has quickly made himself must-watch television, you know, but he's taking out the top guy like Seth Rollins, a top guy like Seth Rollins, and then he takes out a beloved figure like R-Truth. He's really leaning into being a dangerous heel that is going to hurt and maim his opponents. But also, I think the crowd kind of likes it too. They like to see him go back up there for those tsunamis. I think that makes Bronson Reed's stock is starting to skyrocket to me. But also, a story for me that comes out of it is, I don't know if Adam Pearce is doing a good job as a GM anymore. No. I think he's lost control over the roster, and I think that's a conversation that needs to be had. I was going to bring up. Yeah. So, okay, go ahead. Go right ahead. Let's jump right into it. Yeah. I think we're seeing signs that Adam Pearce is eroding as a general manager. He can't really contain anyone. Like, nope. Can't contain Drew McIntyre or CM Punk. And he can't pull the reins back on Bronson Reed. Nope. Like, I mean, you have kids. You know how strong-willed they are. When you say don't touch that, what are your kids going to do? They're going to naturally want to touch it. Yeah, that's Adam Pearce energy for me right now. Like, you know what? He can't seem to draw a line. with anything. And I think that's going to have major ramifications. I mean,
I think so too. I really do. And let's face it, part of the reason that Monday nights are awesome and Monday Night Raws are awesome is because of the chaos, because of the anarchy. But when we think about it in storyline, because I'm always thinking about it like that, and I'm thinking about it from the point of like Triple H is watching Adam Pearce lose control of his roster while Nick Aldis seemingly has everything kind of under wraps over there on SmackDown. He's even seemed to subdue the new bloodline somewhat. Nick Aldis is standing firm and looking really good as a GM, but his Monday Night Raw counterpart is losing it all around him. I mean, just a few examples, and pulling from what you had said. I mean, he has no control over what Bronson Reed is doing. Before Braun Breaker became the Intercontinental Champion, he had no control over what Braun Breaker was doing. He has no control over CM Punk. He has no control over Drew McIntyre. CM Punk is straight lying to this man about flight information. I mean, the Wyatt Six, when they first debuted, they destroyed the entire gorilla position, destroyed all of gorilla. I mean, you have to look at the track record here of Adam Pearce as a GM recently in these last few months, and it's like, man, this guy has got to be on the hot seat. He has to be.
Approaching Point Break.
And people on social media are starting to notice. So like, I have to differentiate here. Adam Pearce, the man, Scrap Daddy, the wrestler, he's great. I love the guy. He's an awesome dude. And he's just, but like, we're talking in stories here. And I'm like, brother, you're losing control of everything. And I don't know if you should be GM that much longer if you cannot control what's going on with your roster. I mean, Teddy Long was SmackDown GM for years and years. And what's one of the things that kept everything in line on SmackDown? Well, easily, because if you piss Teddy Long off, you're going to go one-on-one with The Undertaker. So, like, Adam Pearce needs something like that because he's losing control. And if he doesn't start to gain control, I think it's going to get to a point where we got to start calling for his job.
I mean, Nick Aldis seems to be doing a really good job.
Yeah.
Everyone is respecting his authority. I mean, once you lose your authority as a leadership figure, the writing is starting to be written on the wall.
I mean, once you had Bronson Reed and Adam Pearce started telling him, don't go back. And he's like, you don't want me to go back? Guess what? I'm going back. Like, he deliberately disobeyed this man. Like, it's just gotten to a breaking point. But on the flip side of things, Bronson Reed,
no consequence.
I mean, that's another great point.
When Drew snapped, what happened?
He got suspended for like what, one show? One show, and then they're talking about they're fining Bronson Reed. What's a few $1,000s to that man? Right.
If you don't uphold the consequences as an authority role, people are going to walk all over you.
Yep, and that's exactly what's happening to Adam Pearce right now.
Tread marks on his face. Just saying.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's what we're seeing, and like, once again, because looking at the dynamics of the show and everything, without him losing control, we wouldn't have, Braun Breaker on the trajectory that he's on. We wouldn't have CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, being at the point that they're at. We wouldn't have everything that we have if it wasn't for the chaos. So while it's like, yes, he is losing control, it's part of the story. It makes the story that he's losing control, and it's creating all these other dynamics that make the show great. So I'm critical of it in storyline, but at the same time, I'm here for it because it's making Monday Night Raw great.
It's serving a purpose.
For sure.
You might look like a fool, but it's for a greater purpose.
It's for the greater good, most definitely. So we're going to go ahead and ride this one home and get ready to call this a great episode. But before we do that, we got to talk about this best 2 out of 3 falls match here, because I was just talking about Braun Breaker. And before we talk about the match itself, I have to say this because I have to get this point out. So I love what they're doing on Monday Night Raw, where in the main event, you have the main event guys that are coming through the tunnel and everything, and they're cutting like a short little promo before they come out to the ring. That's such a nice touch that they do, and they did it with Braun Breaker. And one thing that I noticed when Braun Breaker came out, he said, "Football guy Pat McAfee, are there any dogs barking in Texas?" And autumn, and quickly you hear that crowd
resounding.
Yep. And for that to happen, I'm saying this, just like what we're seeing, and we saw that turn with Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest without them having to really change anything, especially Rhea Ripley. It's happening for Braun Breaker. He's about to organically turn babyface. That's exactly what's happening. He's not going to change anything, and he's still going to be an unpredictable badass, but people are just going to get behind it, and Braun Breaker is going to end up being a top babyface, I believe.
One thing that you just prompted in my head is how much more like the support roles are being utilized. It adds so much more detail and ways for the whole experience to be even more rich. Like, people love Pat McAfee, and for Braun Breaker to like in live time to reference him, that was such a good moment, because I mean, like, the more that you can connect to the fans who tune in and pay for a ticket, more money is going to be made. The more emotion that you can capitalize on, it's only going to bring the same result. Like, I like the same with Adam Pearce. Like, it's not a primary focal point, but it's something that still moves the entire experience along. And I just think it's such a good use of those roles. Yeah.
One thing I noticed that somewhere at point in the show, they would show like a graphic at like the bottom corner, and they showed backstage and names of the people backstage, and they showed on commentary, and I'm like, that's really, really good, because you're highlighting these people that make that add to the show and make it great.
And one thing that I did see, that it was like the 59th consecutive show where it was sold out.
It's getting crazy.
Like, little invitations by one of the biggest stars on Raw right now, just even like referring to someone on commentary. Like, that's such a cool detail that really does invite more fans to want to be in the WWE experience. Like, I love that. It's just such a genius aspect.
Yeah, I think so too. But also, this match was just good. I mean, for a main event on a Monday Night Raw, best 2 out of 3 falls match, I think that it looked good. I think Sammy, once again, he had another match with Braun Breaker and still looked good coming out of it. Got a pinfall and then ended up, being back-to-back for Braun Breaker. But like, honestly, I just thought the match itself, for the time that we had it, was good.
You know what? And I asked in the chat if we thought that Braun was going to sweep, or Zayn was actually going he was going to get a pinfall. And I think Zayn knows enough about Breaker by now to know how to get at least one match or one pinfall over Braun Breaker.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was good that he got that, because he kind of surprised him a little bit, Yeah. And like, I think that made sense, because that's how you're going to get somebody as zeroed in and as focused as Braun Breaker is. You got to get him by surprise. But like, Breaker is Breaker at the end of the day. And like, even saying that, I just love saying that, because like, now we're seeing who Braun Breaker is. Like, Breaker being Breaker, and that's an unpredictable badass who's going to come out and he's going to run through competition. And honestly, I just think he's going to be a great Intercontinental Champion moving forward. And I also want to note that at the end of the match, he had a little bit of, I think a little sign of respect towards Sami Zayn.
Great.
Not really anything done there, but like there wasn't an attack or anything, which he just kind of looked at him and was just like nodded a little bit and walked out, which further grows my suspicion that we're going to see Braun Breaker turn into a babyface.
I think that's only inevitable because, like, with the how much the fans were behind him before he even stepped out.
Yeah.
That's inevitable to me. But I really like seeing this larger than life predator whose focus can't be shaken.
Yep.
I like that. It's like a heat-seeking missile. That's how I liken Braun Breaker's attitude and demeanor too.
I like that a lot.
But these two in the ring, it's just money. It's just money for me.
Yeah. This is the third time I've seen him do it, and like I just enjoy it most definitely. And I would watch them have another match, but I do think it's time for Breaker to move on to somebody else, and I think that it's time for Sami to move on. He had his rematch, and now I think it's time for him to either go to the back of the line or, I think the plan is maybe they're gonna have him and Jey Uso chase the tag titles. Yeah, I think that's happening. I'm here for it most definitely. I think it's happening. But as far as Braun Breaker goes, I just want to see him do something. I mean, get in the ring with somebody else that's going to challenge him, because I think now that we've seen Braun Breaker kind of come into his own, there's a lot of possible opponents that are going to come after him for that title that I think we would want to see.
I want to see him and Carmelo.
Ooh, that'd be good. That'd be really good.
I think it would give something Carmelo to aspire to, and I think what have we seen him doing on Raw?
Well, Carmelo, I think Hayes is on SmackDown, I believe, and I think he's starting something with Andrade. But like last week, I think you kind of put Bronson Reed in that mix. I mean, Reed and Breaker, that's a collision course, especially since like now Reed has become really must-watch TV in my opinion. With what he's doing with all his tsunamis that he does. He's dangerous. He's going to hurt people. He's unpredictable. It's almost kind of giving Braun Breaker just about a month or so ago, where it was like he was must-watch TV because he would just run through people. So yeah, I think there's money in Breaker and Reed. And
think so too.
That's definitely something that we can break down moving forward as we continue the Raw deal with Howse and O'Neal. But at least for this week, we gotta call it. We have to we got stuff to do. You got stuff to do. I got things to do. So now we took our little bit of block of time here that we had, and we made it and we made it a great episode, because I think this was a great episode. I think the intergender matches, that was fun. That was a good
really fun.
Yeah, it was a good brain teaser. I really enjoyed doing that. We'll definitely have to do something like that again, and I'm sure that we will. But without further ado, Annie, you being the great co-host that you are of the show, I have to give you the floor and plug anything that you have coming up, any appearances at any promotions, any podcasts that you have coming up down the line for Bumping and Thumping, anything that you got going, go right on ahead and let the household know.
Ooh, I got an episode with Lila Hall and Kevin Calloway dropping probably sometime next week. You had him appear on the house call last Sunday, but he's coming to Bumping and Thumping tomorrow. Peapod, and we're just going to shake things up, and, we're shifting from things in the household, and I can't wait. So this weekend I'm at a show in Waterford, Michigan with New Edge Pro. Other than that, from sun up to sundown, I'm still running it. So training hard every day. So that's what I'm up to. And yeah. Howse?
Most definitely. Let me ask you, are you doing some backstage? Are you doing some backstage stuff, or what are you doing at the show? I'm always interested to hear what you're doing at a show.
You know what? This weekend I will be ring announcing, but September 7th, I will be doing the interview Hustle. So that's really fun. And William Bryce will be the other half of the announcing team. We have really fun energy. We have Paragon coming to Chaos Wrestling.
My man.
Yeah,
My
so
man.
that's going to be fun. He was just in Michigan a few weeks ago, but it's nice for him to come on back because everywhere he goes, it's gold. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. Guys, check out everything that Annie O'Neill is doing. She does an awesome job. She has her own podcast, Bumping and Thumping. That, of course, is an indie spotlight podcast. Go check those out because those always hit. A lot of what this podcast was built on was spotlighting independent talent. So we're always supporting and we're always behind that, especially with somebody as amazing as Annie O'Neill. She's divinely designed. You guys better watch out because she's also a muscle mommy. She'll kick your ass too. So with that being said, as far as what I've got going on, I'm going to be right here, of course, making sure everything goes how it needs to go within your house. I don't have any bookings this month, guys, with the kids back in school and everything. I'm kind of bagging back a little bit, but next month it's going to be back hitting the ground running as I will be at Wrestle Arts on September 11th. That's going to be a great show. I will be back on commentary for the second time with Wrestle Arts, so that is going to be great. Then on the 14th of September, I make my return to the table. Caller commentary. You guys know me at Hollywood House, but your house is going to be back on the table there in Columbus, Indiana for Merge 81, and we're going to have a great time because that card is already really shaping up. So as far as what we got going on over here, I mean, you guys know where you can follow me at. It's at Alicon House. And then this podcast, it's the In Your House Wrestling Podcast. Follow us there. And of course, that's HOWSE, and the W stands for work. So for Divinely Designed Annie O'Neill, for Hypocrisy Jones, for The Voice Josh Joseph, for the Grunmeister, for the world's most dangerous podcaster Paragon, I am Alicon the Concept House, here to remind you to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend to hop on this bandwagon. Get on or get gone, because the household is still going mighty strong. You guys have a great day and a great rest of your week. Peace.
Hello, everyone. It's the Pope Elijah Burke, founder and president of the Love Alive charity. I wanted to take this brief moment to share with you my charity's continued humanitarian efforts to positively impact the impoverished communities in and around the greater Jacksonville area. This cannot be possible without your support. If you'd be so kind, please take a moment to visit our website, love-alive.org, to learn more about the charity and its mission. Also, feel free to donate to our 501c3 organization that operates off of the donation of the public, which is you. Whether that be by website or via Cash App, $1 help makes a difference in the lives of others as we continue to positively influence many people by being the change that we wish to see in the world.